So we had a look a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, at governance and what the point of governance is in Power BI. And then last week we looked at context and what the point of context is and how context affects what's going on. Because that effect affects the governance. That's the point. So let's see what we can do to really expand on that and take it to the next level. Hi, my name's Ross, the creator and founder of Geordie Consulting and Geordie Intelligence, the YouTube channel you're watching today. We've had a look at piecing together an improvement to our PowerPoint export pack for that weekly report, that annual report that we've got for Parkrun. But we're left a bit, and there were some pages we couldn't do, weren't there, or we didn't do. And also, it wasn't really very good, was it? It would only work based on last year. So what happens if I want to see what's the year in progress? And it's still, so what can we do? How do we fix all this? And this is really where I want you to understand more about context and governance. So we'll see what they mean really in practice together this week. So here we are in Power BI Desktop. Okay, we've got our Parkrun PowerPoint source that we've got. Okay, I still haven't changed the pictures, and again, we need to do that if we're going to make this into something amazing. More generic, more basic runner pictures from around just running in a park as opposed to specific ones from Jesmond Dean. That's an easy part. We're looking at the technical part today, right? And the technical is unfortunately the technical. And today is going to be technical. And in terms of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be using disconnected tables. And I was involved very early on in Power BI and in terms of actually what we're doing. So I'm part of the crowdfunding for this thing, okay? Right, this was about the third or fourth Power BI book I got, right? And it's on page 83 is where we're going to be looking at today. So just because this was now a 10-year-old book, it is still great if you're coming at Power BI from an Excel background. That's very much where that book focuses. Hey, I'm an Excel professional. I do Excel, I'm an advanced Excel user. What's this newfangled nonsense that is Power BI? That's kind of the attitude it takes. It's a very good book. I would definitely recommend it. I'll put a link down below in the description. I don't have an affiliate code, I get nothing from it. It's a good source, especially if you're still a business user, or if that sounds terrible, if you are a business user and you're not coming from an IT or developer background. It's a good starting point. So, we need to understand why we need to do this and what this nonsense is about disconnected tables, or you'll also hear them referred to as disconnected slicers. They are the same thing. We are using them as the slicer context today, so it's a disconnected slicer, more of what we'll be doing. But it's exactly the same thing. What we've got here is we've got this page, haven't we? All right, and if you remember, we set it all up to use these year offset fields, okay? So if we come out of here and we look at this page 2 here, page 2? No, it was all years top 10, wasn't it? Yeah. Sure, here was volunteers. Here we go. Okay, pick volunteers. All right. We've got all the years on here. Right. So what's this? Why do we need to use a disconnected table for it? And the reason is actually really simple. Okay, so if we looked here and we say, right, we've got annual events. Okay, so let's look at events held. So what we could do is we could create a new measure, couldn't we? And we could say events held all years. Okay, we'll say all years for now, okay, because I think that's fine. So if I then said that equals, okay, and that's going to be calculate events held all calendar year. Okay, perfect, brilliant. So that'll work, won't it? Okay, so then we know from that we can use that with this filter here, and instead of having that offset, what we would do is we'd say, well, we want the year, don't we? So we can bring in year. And we could put year in the filter on this page where it is 2025. Okay? Apply that filter. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got a 1. Ah, terrible. Okay, so we can then say, well, if we put our events held all years on, okay, that's going to change that, isn't it? Because that'll work. Oh, we've only got 1. And this is the crux of the issue, why you need a disconnected table. Okay, so what's happening here is it is taking every single year that we've got, and if we said, well, like, that's stupid, let's just go and remove the filter here, because why would you do that? Oh, they're all the same. The context is what is evaluated at the point of a measure. And the context is what's provided by, and this is where if we go back into here, and I always say, if we show this as a table, it makes more sense. What we've built and what every visual is fundamentally a pivot table behind the scenes. So we will have, if we go back to our year filter here, where it is 2025, apply that filter, we're only going to evaluate based on the year 2025. So the year that's flowing into the visual is 2025. That's the context that's flowing in. Then the evaluation takes place. And we are using a calculate to rebuild the evaluation. So we are rebuilding the evaluation to have the idea that there is more than just 2025 in it at the point of execution. When you're already in, well, we've just got 2025. So it won't work. So the reasoning, there's things we can do with all these things, of course there are. But the point was that as we were building this and putting it in, if we went through and said, well, we want you to pick from a drop down, which is what we've got, this selection period here, it becomes difficult to use a selection and say, well, just in this case, do everything below the slicer selection, because the slicer selection from a disconnected, from a slicer selection, because the slicer selection, when you use sync slicers, is at the page level. So it will at the page level be saying 2025. We can't set it to say this page is going to be 2025, this page is going to be everything up to 2025. That does not work, okay? So the measure or the evaluation needs to be moved from being against a proper dimension table and have a separate dimension table, and then use the measure to go through and evaluate as it goes through, and then you can return blanks when you don't want them, and then by default Power BI does not show blanks. That's the way this works. Okay? Yeah? So the best way for us to see really what's going on with any of this is going to be if we actually come and have a look at this. So create a new area here. Now let's bring in DAX and name. Okay, so we're going to have these tables. Right, so what we want is we're going to keep DS events and DS year. Okay, these are the two that we've written. Okay, because we're on, obviously here we can't necessarily see the code. So let's put this in, here we go. Okay, so what we've got for DS events, okay, it's going to be the events slicer. We've got a year one, and the year one is simple. We're just picking the distinct year values that we've got in the calendar. Let's take those distinct values and let's put them somewhere else. What that means is that we're always going to have that table, and it's always going to be up to date. It's not locked to anything. So we're using a DAX table, like a calculated table, to determine these values. Okay, we could push this further. If we really want to, we could push this into M script, but I thought we'll do it in DAX just for now so you can see what we're doing. And then we've got this DS events table. The events one we've probably done a little bit more with. Okay, so I'm going to try and really work out the best way to show you this. So here we go. These are this is the measure we've written. Okay, so this is underscore DS for them all. Okay, so I'll say underscore DS events just here. Right, so what we are doing is we're saying, let's go to the tracked events table. So from the tracked events table, please select some columns. And the columns we're going to select is authority, which we're going to use as local authority, and the event name. We want those two columns. That's all we want. Okay, that would be enough if we just wanted a simple way of presenting it as a slicer. But what I want to do is give us a single slicer value that would allow us to effectively select the local authority as well. So what I've then done is said, right, we've set this as a variable, and then the actual beat is going to add a column to it, and we're going to add this slicer column, which is going to be the event name with the local authority in brackets, and then we're going to sort the whole thing. So we give an integer value to sort the columns by, and that's going to be this rank X based on the variable we've selected, and we're going to have the authority and the event, okay, that we're going to put together. So everything's going to be sorted by authority and then event. That's the two columns of the sort. Okay, really simple way of doing it. It looks a lot worse than it is, trust me. So the result of this is, if we come back to the selection, because that's the important bit, if we come here and we get rid of event name, and instead we are going to pick VS events, slicer. You see here we go. We've got all the County Durham ones together in alphabetical order. And then we've got Gateshead, because that's the next alphabetical one, and so on and so forth. So I felt this was a better way of going with it. If we wanted to put in a second slicer for the local authority, we could do that here, couldn't we? Okay, and we could then say, well, we pick the local authority that we want to be visible. But again, you can see it gets difficult. If we went down the route of saying, well, we've got this one slicer and we're going to put local authority in there as well as a level above and leave it as single select, you can select a local authority, which then would break the way these reports are written. So that doesn't work. Which is why we ended up with the method that I thought would be the least bad for it. Okay, so we've got a forced slicer selection on here. We pick the one we want. Likewise, we can do the same with the year. So all we would do is go into this DS year, zoom in, I'm just going to pick year. All right, and then if we zoom out, you see it's here. So all we need to do is pick, that is going to be a slicer. And again, instead of it being one of these pick what you want slicers, we want a vertical list, and then selection wise we want a single select, and we're going to say that, right, so we're going to pick 2025. So we've now got this concept, haven't we, that we can pick a year, that this is what our selection is going to be, and we can pick a slicer, and this is what our selection is going to be. And that's great, that's how we want this to work. So the way we would then use these is we'd then create measures that would effectively be that would leverage this. And what I would say is you don't want these measures to exist separately. Okay, so we're in a secondary report, so they will go into our secondary area. But then what I will have to do is send an email off to our development team to say, these are the measures we want in for disconnected slices, and they will create a DS measures table, okay? And then you have more measures in there, but these are specifically for use with the DS, with the disconnected slices. And over time, you might increase and have more disconnected slices. You might need to do something different with that. You might need to work out how you're going to use them, but you're not going to have everything spread out globally, okay? This is a good way of working with it. And this is where the governance comes in, okay? So this is going to work initially only in this report. So if somebody turned and said, oh, well, we want this to work, how can we help? Okay, and IT have gone through and I've already, for the sake of this, we've got this, we've put them in, we've had these disconnected slices put in first. And might be that's the way that we have to do it, because there is no change, in inverted commas, to functionality of the application by us adding in the disconnected slices. They simply add a capability that doesn't have anything really plumbed into it until we build some measures that are going to use them. So we might say, hey guys, can you put this in and then give me a period and I'll work this out. One issue we need to make sure is that we don't have lots and lots of these events coming through and then not going any further. So there need to be a business case and a commitment that, hey, I'm going to show value of it within 90 days, otherwise it's going to be deleted. These could be things that will go on. hang on, wait a minute. Are we talking governance here? I think we are. Okay. So you're getting the picture now, aren't you? You're starting to see what's going on. So what does this do if we have 2025 here? Okay, so we have, if we come back here, our events held all years. Events held all years. It would help if I could see at a moment of blindness. Where we would deal with this, and we would say, right, VAR, okay, underscore EY, okay, end value, end date, say E date, end date, okay, equals, we can say date, open brackets, this is going to be selected value, of year, DS year, okay. And I'm just going to slash this out just for now because I just want to double check this is going to work. Again, this is something I recommend doing when you're going through and doing these. Okay, so we've got that now. Okay, so if we bring this into here, see, we get 2020, we can pick 2023, 2022. Okay, so there's a context to this now. So what we can now do is we can say here, calculate events held where calendar date is less than or equal to E date. That's greater than or equal, isn't it? Less than or equal to E date, close brackets. Okay, so you can see, in terms of complexity, they're not a million miles apart. Okay, we're bringing this through, and instead of it saying against a year, we're using a date just because that makes it easier to pull these things back through. Okay, we could have just used year. We could have put in end of year date into our calculations and said, this is what we've got. Okay, so we can now see 10,801. Okay, if I comment this out and we bring this in, there's more. Okay, so we're excluding the ones that we've had so far in 2026, is what this is saying. Okay, so we've got something that will work. So if I go back now to our volunteers page that we were at before, so if we copy this measure here through, because we need to make sure it works on the first page, first here, okay, I'm going to push that up here, push this up here, and you're starting to see I do an awful lot of testing like this. So what we see is that this doesn't work, okay, because it's going to pull everything through as one, which we were expecting, okay? So that doesn't work. So what we know we need to do is not use an or, okay? So we pick VAR, mdate equals max calendar date. Okay? Simple. Then what we can say, this is where it gets interesting. Oh, press one button. So switch. So we're going to switch here, aren't we? Okay. And I'm going to hide this as well, because what we're going to do is we are simply going to return email. Okay, so switch true. And then what we're going to say is basically if eDate is greater than mdate, actually let's go less than, because it should be less than, isn't it? Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, hang on. We'll test it, and if I get it the wrong way around, we'll go the other way. Okay, if it's greater than that, then let's return events held. Otherwise, blank. Okay, so we get 73. Go around. There we go. Okay, so the other way around, see it returns event date up to 2024. Okay, so we've got this. So what we need to do is bring in equal to. Okay, up to 2025. Suddenly we've got this. This is going to give us everything we need in terms of the way this filter works. Okay, what it's not doing yet is respecting the second part of the filter. Okay, which is, if you remember, we need to have the ability to pick an event. Okay, so which events are we going to pick from this? So what we want to be doing here is saying this is against one local authority, okay, or one event, this measure. Okay, so we end up having to have one which against one event, potentially we have to have one against local authority. So we'll do this one against one event first. Okay. So I'm going to rename this DS events held single for single event. Okay, so we've got that. All those pieces are there for us. What we then want to be doing is saying that we need to look up, and again, this is where I was thinking maybe I did the event wrong. I should put the index in there as well, but it'll be fine. Event equals lookup value in tracked events. Look up the tracked events, and it is the, help if I could remember what these are. Location ID, well done. Location ID, where tracked events, event name, search column name 1, search column value is going to be selected value. DS events, event, close brackets, close brackets. Okay? And then we can do this, can't we, where we can say, well, let's return underscore event. This is a really good way of testing what's going on. Now, this is just going to show 1, but what we can do is this, it's held as 1. Yes, that's still okay. Of course, we've got that. Okay, we can pick different ones. I was thinking 1. I think it was, yeah. 1 is, of course, the event ID of that. All right? So we've suddenly got something. So what we can then do is we can bring here, let's go back to our, bring the measure up here. And where we've got this filter here, switch is true, we can instead say calculate events held where tracked events location ID equals event. Okay. Oh, still got event there. We need that to be eval, don't we? Okay. So now, if we pick different locations, we can see we have different numbers for them. Okay. That's interesting. I've got 2026 in there. I shouldn't have 2026. There's no values in there for 2026. Why are they showing 2026? Anyway. Okay. So it's going to show that sometimes, but it won't put values in it. That'll be to do with the way this is going to put together an evaluation for it. The next thing we need to be doing is reviewing our sync slices, isn't it? So we come back through to here, and on the right-hand side of the page, if we zoom in again, we can see we have sync slices. So we can select that. We have this page here. I'm going to get rid of page 5 because we don't need it anymore. It was just there to see what was going on. And I'm going to pick sync slices. I'm going to pick this slicer, and I'm going to pick show it on all pages, but we want to hide it, if you remember, from all pages other than this page in terms of actually showing it. We don't want to show it. So we've done that. And again, we'll just make sure we've got the same on the other one here, which we have. I'm going to remove this page here. Okay. And I'm going to remove this measure as well. All right. So we've kind of got the shape and structure for it. So now what we can do is we can come through and we can see, all right, okay, this is not working properly because the selections aren't right yet, okay? Because if you remember, the way we'd written this was to do something different. So we're going to need to pull in measures that will do things. So one of them we're going to need is to have one that will return this, okay? So we might choose to turn around and say, we want this to be the, okay, so we could say, is this the right way to go with it? Let me have that. Let me just double check, where are we with these? Yeah, that's all value, isn't it? So if we come back to here, we've got that one, pick that one, title, hack with. Okay, so potentially that's a better way anyway, that we put together the full details of it, that it's in County Durham, the title of it. Okay, so we've got that, that will work. Okay. And we can pick any one of our parkruns. So we'll pick Prudder, go back, Prudder, Northumberland, parkrun. Okay. It works. Okay. Here, what we're going to want is DS year. Okay, and again, we'll just place that in the center of the page. Okay, center of the page, DS year. So this is now linked to what we pick. So we go back 2019. Right, so this potentially is the right way to go. We're starting to build up something that we can pick and choose what we want to show and where we want it to display, and these will automatically come through. And the one that we couldn't do before was this one. Right? And there are good reasons why this one is going to be difficult. So what we could do, because this was going to need to be against the local authority, which was the problem. So we need to have, for here, this is, what we're really trying to compare, isn't it, is the event performance by age group, really. Okay, we've got gender in here, but it's more about age group, I think, is what we were trying to get to, what I was trying to get to with this. This main piece of text here is probably right, but it's locked to a year. So we're probably thinking, well, what can we do for this? So for here, this might be something where on this visual, or on this page, it'd be nice to be able to say, well, we want to use disconnected slicer as the value for it. But that becomes really difficult to do. So we're going to have to think about this text as we go through, because each of these needs to be reevaluated against the disconnected slicer context, which is the painful point here. But what we can do is here is we can say we want, this is going to be the DS. Okay, so we've got that inserted in that. Honestly, this I was thinking about the best way to do is I'm going to delete this, because I don't think this is bringing something to the table. It's great where we had it before, but I think there's a better way of doing it. I do like this, but we are going to have to restructure this page, I think, because what we're going to do is do things a little bit differently, I think. So I'm going to delete this as well, because we don't know how many events we're going to have. And I'm going to delete this. There is method in my madness. Okay, so we've got that. So what I was thinking, okay, is we would do participants. Okay, so what we can do, how do we do participants? So what we would do with this is we would turn around and say, right, we want to bring in secondary, new measure. Okay, underscore DS. Participation, LA. Okay, so we want local authority level participation. Okay, equals. So for this, we're going to have VAR, let's call it LA, equals lookup value, it is going to be local authority tracked events, local authority. Tracked events, local authority, where we have the local authority equals DS events. Yeah, so it's right, DS. Selected value of DS events authority. Okay? So what we've actually got here, this is the DS LA. This is going to be DS selected LA. Okay? Okay. So if we return that, that will return a local authority. And if we put that on here, it doesn't let us put it on a page. That's the problem we have. Okay, we can bring it on here, it says Northumberland. That's fine. But we can't put it on as a filter for the page. We can't bring in local authority from tracked events. And then under advanced filters, where is, we can't put in a measure here. Yeah? Okay, we can't do this. It's fine. I can tell you, we can't. We could try and drag this in, DS selected measure. I'm just trying to think what it's called. It's not. Okay, doesn't allow us to do that. So how do we get this to work? So the way we would do it is we finish off the selection. So we're going to do this. Okay, so this is why I was saying when we need to do this is participation, because it's easy to think, well, of course it's going to be this. Registered finishers. LA. Okay. So then what we can do is we can calculate, not that, VAR eval, calculate registered finishers, where tracked events, local authority equals LA. So we've got that. And where calendar year equals, and again, we probably should have done this as a different thing. Okay, we would call that year. Won't like it for now. I'm going to add in here another VAR. Year equals selected value DS year, otherwise blank. Okay, simple. Okay, so we've got a year. So we can then say, come in here, eval. Okay, so we've got no real filters on here, but if we come through to here in this participation here, and we bring in our DS finishers by local authority, put that there, we suddenly see that filters to be just the events that are in the right location. That's not coming from the page. Okay, we can remove the gender filters, that's fine. So where my head was at with this was I was thinking, well, what we can do is we can bring that in again. We can bring in a finish time. So we end up with a nice curve like that. Okay, and then what we can do for here is we can bring in the event name, okay, and put that on as the legend. So we end up with each one of these having a slightly different chart. That was kind of what we were trying to show, okay, and obviously everything is subtly different, okay. And again, then we can remove the background, do all that stuff which we need to do. Where is that again? It's not there, it is here, type format, there we go, background. Always can always never remember where that is. Okay. So we have that capability. We've got the links that flow through, so tying green is tying green, we've got that. So those all work. And then if I come back to here and I say, well, I want to look at Windy Nook, and then go back to there, we see we've just got two. Okay, so we've got Windy Nook and we've got Gateshead. Looking at the Gateshead Parkruns overview, and it tells us this is the problem. We've got kind of everything in it. So we would need to go through and update and change what goes into these, and we can rewrite these text measures. I don't really want to do it today. But as a feeling or as a flavor for how this works, it didn't take long to put something together that's going to work. And I thought, well, we could go through and say, well, we want to put these in and have a male and a female one. But well, there's too many colors if we do that. Well, we can leave that as it is. So we have this ability now, don't we? We've put that in very quickly, easily. We've now got this disconnected table, or these two disconnected tables working in concert. And if we pick 2019 and we go back to here, we can see this is what happened in 2019 across County Durham. Simple, right? Are you starting to see what goes on with context? It's one of those topics that until you start to do things with it and writing measures like this that look more complicated than they are, it's a difficult one. Look at this, it's not the right way to do it. There are other ways to do it. I wanted to work through it in a way that would evaluate and push back. This is what the evaluation is doing. This is why we are doing it this way. This is what is happening. And that would allow us at any point in time to drop in and check the previous value. But fundamentally what we're trying to do is build these calculate statements. And remember, a calculate is re-evaluating the context of the expression. And the expression is the first part of DAX. So we're going to reuse existing measures, which have potentially got context in them, but they will then be re-evaluated, so that context is then replayed against the final piece. So if you've put in place business rules and business logic into your measures, you reuse your measures in these, and then you hand in additional updates within the calculate context, and it will re-evaluate them at the time of running and then replay them against what's in that existing one. Just why calculate is such a complicated thing. Avoid calculate if you can. When you need to use it, it will make sense, like in these. Okay? What we're also doing is like this selected value. So selected value will return a single one. It's the same as doing like a min or a max or something like that. So we just want one thing. So it's going to return that scalar value that we can then use in a filter to further define and refine what it is we want. And what we're really saying is we're using lookup value here is how I am bringing the context from my external source of a disconnected table into something. Let me see if we can make it one line. We're not going to get to one line. Into something. Probably need to do that, wouldn't we? That would be more proper DAX, wouldn't it, if we did it that way? And then, there we go. Yeah. Okay. So we're bringing this statement into something better. Okay. And in terms of this, we go, oh, I don't know if this looks good. Okay. If in doubt, copy your whole measure. All right. I'm seeing a lot more of this stuff coming through. Put it into AI, chat GPT, do all this. Don't. Okay. You can do, by all means, of course you can. But just be aware of what you're putting into chat GPT or into something else. Okay. DAXformatter.com is still around. Okay. This is from SQLBI.com. Paste in your measure and ask it to format it. and it will come back and format the measure. And this will work. It doesn't rewrite your DAX, doesn't try and do anything funky with it. This will work. Okay, so all I need to do now is copy that. Okay, and come back through to here and paste it. And that's now a properly formatted DAX measure. Yeah? So simple enough, daxformatter.com, paste that in. But all we are doing is we are simply building this measure by using values that we are pulling from our disconnected slicer. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, right, I need to now write an email. Okay, because obviously I'm not going to do this in our proper change management system for the business. What I can do is I can say, let's write a new email. Let's pop that out. Yeah. Okay. So this might be the sort of thing that you would look to do. Okay, so I'm going to write this to Ross, because again, I'm not Ross in this, am I? Okay. New measures for park run model. I can spell park run model. Okay. Dear Ross, thank you for adding the disconnected slicers, for adding disconnected slicers. I've been able to add the measures to use these. Can they be added to a DS measures table? Okay, simple. So I'm going to paste the first one in. Okay, and again, they look terrible, I know, like that. You might want to go put them into something else or however you want to go. But the main thing is these are legitimate, they can be copied and pasted across. And I'll just add something like that and then put in the second one. Okay. Business user. Okay. Send. So I've now got that. So in terms of our business process, I've accessed the front door, haven't I? And I've provided, these are the texts that we've got, these are what we can do. Measure names are in there. We've asked them into a specific table. So it would then be up to whoever it is who's going to do it to manage the change process for it, because these are going to need to go into the master model. So these definitely need a change at some, because measures in the master model affect everything downstream, everyone who accesses it. It might be that we go through and have a monthly review of measures. You know, we could tell us, oh, we're going to have a monthly review of measures. Who uses this? What's going on with it? This is what I'm doing with it. This is what I'm doing with it. It might be a department. We hadn't thought of that. That could be exactly what we need, or where we were having that kind of spitballing kind of discussion about, could we do it possibly? But no one's thought of how it could be done. My goodness, disconnected slicers. You guys are already doing 3/4 of what it is I need to do. Can we piggyback on there? We back that change. So you need to work out how it goes through. There needs to be a review cycle. There needs to be a plan for what comes in, but it needs to also be open. There needs to be the capability for everybody to add a request for it. And that's one of the most difficult things to do in Power BI, is get that type of governance layer right and correct. If you get it wrong, it fails. Okay, you need to be able to be that. Part of the biggest success, easiest part about this, the simplest thing, is of course, understand it needs to be able to change. So if it's wrong now, change it. Okay, you're not stuck, well, this is what we're going to do. But you need to also say there are bits that we need to work with and we can expand and make those easier. And the bits we're going to have to cut back on. And those reasons why we have to curtail and stop business doing that, there needs to be good reasons behind it. And they need to also be understood by the business. You know, so it's not just we know you can't do it. Doesn't work, okay? IT projects have seen that happen year in, year out. Tell the business no, the business will go and find someone who will do it for them. Surprise, surprise, third-party companies are always there who will say, yeah, we'll do it, okay? That doesn't understand or equate to why a business is taking a decision. And that's the bit that's important. So transparency in analytics is really important, and it goes a long way towards actually having a good, healthy data culture in your organization. So have a think about that. Yeah? Excellent. So what do you think? There's still bits and pieces to do and to fix in terms of making this report perfect, okay? But you've seen those disconnected slices, those two slices in play have already pieced together something that's going to allow us to do lots of measures. That ability to have multiple or variable lines on that chart to show all the different ones from that local authority based on a different slice. I've picked an event and it said, oh, well, let's expand that filter to be all the local authority, the events in that local authority. We can do that. So we've now got a structure that will enable us to build everything that we need, and we'll go in and we'll do that. And the last piece that we're going to have to pick up next week is going to be text boxes. And the reason, big chunk, is because I don't really want to do text boxes. You see, when I go in to do the text boxes, they are a really finicky little part of Power BI. They are well worth learning. There is a lot of power in them. And it's one of those areas where I'm looking at, I'm going, well, it needs fixing, Microsoft, but I don't think they're going to fix them. And in some ways, I'm concerned that they're going to break them and get rid of them. And I've been assured that's not going to happen. But I know as well the push to Copilot is moving away from necessarily the way that these text boxes work. And I think that's a step in the wrong direction, if I am honest, because I do not want Copilot-driven narrative, because I don't know what that's going to be next month. And it's not a case of me saying, well, I want to control it. It's a case of saying, well, I need to be aware of that we've decided we want this text box to show blah, 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 blah. I need to have a way of putting that in so we can bring in some text across it. We can write some measures that then can surface up into produce, this is the text box. But it needs to be something that we can do. And if otherwise we end up having to write the full text string, that's fine, I can do that, and we can put that in something. But text boxes were coming together in a way that's really nice and intuitive, because there's ways you can actually highlight specific words because of these are the ones that are coming from a measure. And that ability is really difficult to do in a single measure, because most measures, and it's difficult to put something like a proper markup language into a measure. It just doesn't work. So we need to, hopefully, fingers crossed, Microsoft, please don't break text boxes. They are now in a position where they're almost amazing, and it's just the finickiness that isn't amazing with it, but it's worth persevering with. We've seen with the way these go that there's no way I can feed a measure into that, but I could feed the measure in from it, which I can do. So we could change it to say, well, the event's held, let's use the measures for this. So once I go through and write all the DS measures, it will be easy enough to go through and change the text boxes to use the DS measures. And that's what we're going to do next week. So I'll get the rest of the measures written, and then we'll go through and we'll drop them into the various text boxes around the pages and see how it works, and see if you can understand then how text boxes work and how you can get the most out of text boxes, especially as, from my understanding of the way Microsoft have worded it, it's the Q&A function within them that's going, which is when you add a text box and tell it to go and work something out itself, what should I put in there? Which, if I'm 100% honest, it's been kind of good enough at times. If you want to do something, you needed to write it. So we'll see. But you've seen, haven't you, we can write these measures from disconnected tables. We can bring in content. We can add content to it. We've got, using our data dictionary, the ability to look and see what the code is that goes into these things. It's a powerful things that we've got now. Okay, we've got a really good analytics solution for our business, and you could have that for your business. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope that's given you some food for thought, and I hope you're now starting to think about how we manage that governance and really what goes on behind the scenes and why we talk about that need to control what goes into that semantic model. Yeah. For now, though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.